Good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Indiana Sports Now with Kent Sterling. It's Monday, April 26th, 2021. We're brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry, including the great Dr. Mike O'Neill, my favorite dentist, my only dentist the last 27 years. Take control of your dental health. Give him a call, 317-849-2933. Let's talk about sports. You know, it's been a while since we've had Indiana University basketball news. I want to keep talking about IU basketball, though. I was looking at statistics today, trying to figure out who is the best at what. And I love shooters. Shooting is unbelievably interesting to me. That some guys can stand 20 feet back and knock down shot after shot after shot, and other guys can barely graze the rim is fascinating. The best shooters I've ever seen play basketball for Indiana in the three-point era. So that excludes guys like Ted Kitchell, even though he was a shooter for Indiana during one season where the three-point shot was tested. From the time it really came into college basketball in 86-87, we'll start there. So that excludes Ted and a bunch of the guys from the 70s that I really didn't see play a lot. Guys like Don Schlunt. I don't know whether he was a great shooter or not, I tell you the truth. So let's hold this down to the area that I'm familiar with, that era of three-point shooters. And I got to tell you, Indiana clustered them right out of the chute about as well as anybody in college basketball did. The best shooter I ever saw, Jay Edwards. Absolutely silky smooth. And his shot, it's hard to tell you if you never saw it. The way, and I'd watch him warm up at Assembly Hall, and really, really high arc, and then would kind of thunk on the rim, just real softly, thunk, and sort of roll in. There was very little bounce to it. It hit the rim with no velocity. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you convey a shot from 20 feet and have it land so softly on the rim, but that's what Jay Edwards did. Jay Edwards still holds college basketball's record for three-point percentage as a freshman, 53.6%. He hit from beyond the arc as a freshman. For his entire career, he was a 48% three-point shooter. His second year, not quite as good at his first. He only played 2 years at IU. Steve Alford was awesome. His senior year at Indiana, the first year that the three-point shot was widely used in college basketball, Steve Alford hit 53% from beyond the arc. He was damn good. It didn't hit the rim with the same lack of velocity, the same softness of Jay Edwards' shot, but man, that dude could stroke it. Jordan Hulls, 49.3% as a junior is what he hit, 44.2% overall. I thought Jordan Hulls was as much like Steve Alford as anybody I've seen shoot for Indiana. Where the hell has shooting gone is kind of the question, right? Armaan Franklin hit 42.4% from beyond the arc this year. He's going to Virginia, and Indiana fans correctly are lamenting Armaan Franklin going to another school because Armaan Franklin could flat shoot. Well, not compared to these other guys. What is it that's happened? Is it weight training that's kind of goobered guys up? All of a sudden, you're strong enough in the upper body that you don't need the legs to generate the power? A distant shot like a three-point shot, the best have the power plant in the legs and the guidance mechanism in the arm and hands. That's the way it works, right? If you're all yacked up in your arm and in your upper body, you can fling it there without using your legs, and it's not nearly as pretty a shot and not nearly as effective a shot. Or is it the defense? Where maybe back in the day, you're kind of like, hey, guy wants to jack it from 20 feet, we let him go. I can't believe that people did that with Jay Edwards or Steve Alford for very long. You didn't have to be a genius to understand that these guys were going to hit about 1 out of 2 from beyond the arc, which sends their effective field goal percentage through the roof, right? I can't believe it's defense. I don't know what's happened with shooting. Guys work on shooting, I think, much more than they used to, and still they're not as good. I just kind of don't get that. Who's the all-time steals leader for Indiana University basketball? Do you know? I know. He just joined the staff. It's Dane Fife. How about that? I would never have guessed that. I could have gone 10 deep and never gotten to Dane Fife. with the answer to that trivia question. He had 180. Steve Alford had 178. So there you go. How about Alan Henderson? Statistically, he was awesome for Indiana. He played 4 years at Indiana, then played a long time in the pros. Number 1 all-time in rebounds with 1,091. Number 2 all-time in blocks with 213. Jeff Newton, of all people, surpassed Alan Henderson's record. Dean Garrett only played 2 years at Indiana. However, he posted the best 2 blocks years in Indiana basketball history. He had 99 and 93 in 1987 and 1988. Who'd have thought? If he hadn't gone to a JUCO and if he had been at Indiana for all 4 years, he would easily hold the record for blocks in a career. How about Alan Henderson in points? Number 7 all-time with 1,979. Cheney, Henderson, Bailey all finished their IU careers in the top 8 at Indiana in scoring, total points scored, and they played on the same team for 2 years. How about that? 3 of the top 8 all-time scorers for Indiana played on the same team for 2 years. That's unbelievable. Indiana must have scored a hell of a lot of points back like 1991, 92, and 92, 93. Must have scored a truckload, right? Just interesting stuff about Indiana basketball. It's fascinating to me, and those were great times. That was a great team that didn't win a championship. From 89 through 93, they were loaded, Indiana was. And that team in 92, 93, absolutely, if Alan Henderson doesn't get hurt, they win a national championship. I think that top to bottom, that roster was as good as any Indiana team minus the 1975-76 team, and it might have been a little bit better than that one too. It was terrific. That high school class of 88 recruiting class was incredible for Indiana. With Cheney, Pat Graham, Greg Graham, Lawrence Funderburk. You had that one guy whose name I'm kind of spacing. He transferred to Vanderbilt, but there were a bunch of guys in that 88 high school class who went to Indiana, could flat play. All right, let's talk about the NFL draft. Can't overthink this thing if you're Chris Ballard. We talked about it a little bit this morning. What he's got to do is say, okay, what do I need to get out of this draft? I need these 2 things. I need a left tackle and I need an edge guy. So let's go get those. Let's go address those position groups. And then if we find our way into letting the board talk to us after we get that done, you know what? Let's go ahead and let the board talk to us. But until we've got a left tackle and an edge guy, we're not going to let the board talk to us, because we cannot go into the season with Sam Tevi as the starting left tackle and with Ben Banogu and Kamoko Toure and Lewis, Tyquan Lewis, as our edge guys. We just can't do it. So let's go get dynamic guys who can put pressure on the quarterback so our cornerbacks don't get exposed, and let's get a left tackle who can protect Carson Wentz so Carson Wentz doesn't get knocked out of a game and all of a sudden we got Jacob Eason as our starting quarterback, all right? Because Carson Wentz, he is very similar to Andrew Luck in a number of ways, but in this way too. They hold on to the damn ball too long. They extend plays beyond the expiration date or time that plays should be allowed to fail. Sometimes you got to throw it away. Andrew Luck didn't like doing that. Carson Wentz doesn't like doing it either. Carson Wentz tries to find something where there is nothing in exactly the same way that Andrew Luck did. So you've got to get a left tackle who can protect his backside. Let's rank them. Penei Sewell out of Oregon. He's the best on the board. Nobody disputes that. Penei Sewell is the best left tackle in this draft, but he's going to be long gone before the Colts have an opportunity to draft at 21. And moving up to be able to take him is impossible too, because you would probably have to move up 13 spots, 12, 13 spots at a minimum in order to get a shot at Penei Sewell. Rashawn Slater, that's a guy you could go get. From Northwestern, a good left tackle. Doesn't project quite as high a level of play as Penei Sewell, but he's good. And you've got Elijah Vera Tucker. I don't know whether he's going to be a guard or he's going to be a left tackle, but he can block people, and that's a good thing. And you don't know right now as it stands, would the Colts be amenable to moving Braden Smith or Quentin Nelson out to left tackle in order to cover that spot and then put a guy like Vera Tucker in at left guard? That's kind of an interesting idea. I don't think the Colts are going to do that. Christian Darasaw, fourth best left tackle to me. Heavy-handed, a good athlete. Sometimes he takes plays off. Sometimes he doesn't finish plays. Chris Ballard does not like guys like this, although he does like Darasaw. And Darasaw is a really good talker. His interviews have gone really, really well. Then you've got Sam Cosmi. Sam Cosmi, you look at him and you say left tackle. He's out of Texas. And a lot of people very high on Sam Cosmi, but he could drop. He could fall. He's one of those guys where if you're 21, you could trade back with the Packers to whatever they are, 29 or whatever, and you could still have a really good shot to get Sam Cosmi. Next, you've got Walker Little, who after the 2018 season, people are like, that guy is going to be a Pro Bowl left tackle. Then he tore his knee up in the first game of 2019. Then he opted out in 2020. Nobody has any tape on him whatsoever, but the first game of the season for Stanford back in 2019 that he didn't finish because he tore his knee. So you don't know what you got with Walker Little other than, man, in 2018, he projected to be the next great left tackle in the National Football League. Then you've got Tevin Jenkins, who played a lot of right tackle at Oklahoma State. Could he move over to left? If they're thinking about Braden Smith moving over to left, if he has, and we heard this from Chris Ballard last week, if he has the athletic ability to slide from right to left, put him at left. Why wouldn't you? Leave Braden Smith where he is. Take Tevin Jenkins. I don't know whether they're going to do that. Tevin Jenkins, though, has, it would seem, all the athletic gifts necessary to play left tackle. Then you've got Dylan Raddens from North Dakota State. So you would have Dylan Raddens, an NDSU guy, protecting Carson Wentz, another NDSU guy. I don't think that matters at all. I don't think anybody cares where Dylan Raddens went to school, other than he only played one game this past year for North Dakota State. They played a schedule of one game this past season. Spencer Brown is really interesting to me. After that, Northern Iowa, they don't play a tough schedule. So it's really hard to kind of get a bead on what Spencer Brown is as a left tackle prospect because he played for Northern Iowa. He has all the physical attributes necessary to be really, really good. He was a terrific high school basketball player, didn't get really into the nuts and bolts of the left tackle position until not too long ago. And as a result, he's really young into it. Maybe in his third year in the NFL, he might be the best left tackle in this entire draft. You might look back and say, hey, Sewell was terrific as a rookie and second-year guy, but in the third year, this Spencer Brown guy was awesome. And he projects to be a better left tackle moving forward than even Penei Sewell. Could happen, it might not. High ceiling, low floor. Is that what you want to do if you're Chris Ballard and you need a guy right now to protect Carson Wentz's blind side? That's interesting. Then you got guys like Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. Liam Eichenberg, not a great athlete, might wind up being a terrific guard. He is a technician, really, really good at left tackle. Then you've got Alex Leatherwood, who might be a guard also. There are no great picks. Once you get out of that cluster of the top three, Penei Sewell and then Rashawn Slater and Elijah Vera Tucker, it's kind of a crapshoot. You're sort of choosing to ignore a negative trait in favor of what would appear to be positive traits. It's an interesting draft for left tackles, and the Colts need to end this draft with a left tackle. Tomorrow morning, more about the draft. We're only 3 days away from the draft. Tomorrow morning, only 2 days away. Facebook Live at 6 a.m., bright and early, and then immediately thereafter on YouTube, all brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. 317-849-2933 is the number. Remember to subscribe, like, ring the bell, do all that stuff. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning.